Let me just ask a question, though. How many, it's a Saturday morning and you're not out at the golf course, but some of you must surely play golf, right? So when you learned to play golf, did it change your life much, aside from raising your blood pressure, which is what it did for me? Probably not, unless you're Tiger Woods, perhaps. How about motorcycles? Anybody a motorcyclist? Again, a fun, exciting thing to do, but I know probably didn't change your life a lot, but learning to fly. How many of you would say that learning to fly changed your life? Yeah, I thought so. Me too. It's just amazing, this aviation fraternity that we become a part of when we get a pilot certificate. It's full of opportunity and wonder. All this, and yet our pilot population is dwindling. You know that in the next year, probably our pilot population is going to drop below 600,000 in this country for the first time in decades. Some say that learning to fly is, well, too expensive, it's too difficult, it takes too much time, and sure, there are shades of truth in all of that. It is a time-consuming thing, and it does cost some money, and it really is very challenging. But like anything else in life, learning to fly is a challenge that is worth pursuing. And so, while you and I have faced challenges in learning to fly, some people have overcome exceptional challenges and hurdles to make their dream of flight a reality. This morning, I would like to introduce you to a remarkable young woman who overcame incredible challenges to make come true her dream of flight. Jessica Cox has achieved more in her young life than most of us will achieve in a lifetime. Here's a brief video introduction about this extraordinary woman.
My name is Jessica Cox. I was born without arms. Today, I learned to fly a plane. I was a little nervous at first, but then I remembered my favorite words of wisdom. Never let your fears get in the way of your opportunities. When I was growing up, my mom used to worry that I wouldn't be able to do all the things I needed to do. But I just learned to do things with my feet that other kids did with their hands. I learned to drink from a glass, color with crayons, unwrap birthday presents, just like everybody else. I still felt shy about being different, though. I remember the first time I was on stage. It was my very first dance recital, and I was so scared that I told my dance teacher I wanted to be put in the back row. She told me there was no back row. Afterwards, all I heard was cheering and clapping. I couldn't wait to go out the second time and perform. I danced for 12 years after that. My parents wanted me to learn self-defense along with confidence. I started taking Taekwondo when I was 10. I got my black belt 4 years later. In college, I tested for my second one. I was the first person without arms to get a black belt in the American Taekwondo Association. Our culture often refers to people like me as disabled. I think that's misleading because I live a completely normal life. I drive without special adaptations. I write. I type 20 words per minute. I put contact lenses in my eyes. Probably the only true adversity I face is acceptance from other people. I went to get my driver's license. I passed with flying colors. A week later, I got a letter in the mail saying my license was suspended. Somebody decided it wasn't safe for me to be driving without special adaptations on my car. I had to go back and take 2 additional tests. I still don't drive with adaptations. Being different physically from other people has taught me an important lesson. Many normal people suffer from a true disability, a lack of faith in themselves. I hope my life story encourages other people to fulfill their true potential, to overcome the handicap of fears and limitations they place on themselves, or that other people encourage in them. I want them to think, hey, if she can do that much without arms, then I can do so much more with my life. Today, I became the first woman without arms to fly an airplane. What will you accomplish tomorrow?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to welcome motivational speaker and pilot extraordinaire Jessica Cox.
Thank you.
Go get her.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to share with you all the very first challenge of flight training that I had as I sat in the Air Coupe 415D in Spruce Creek, Florida. And as I sat there, the first challenge was obvious. How was I to put on my headset? So 2 broken headsets later, I figured out that with one foot and the help of my chin, I could do that. The second challenge, if you can imagine, was how to buckle the 4-point seatbelt in the Air Coupe cockpit. So I actually thought about this challenge for a while, and it reminded me of a challenge that I had in elementary school. And the challenge was how to tie my shoelaces so I wouldn't trip and fall on the playground. And I had to learn at an early age that I couldn't have my feet in my shoes, obviously. And I put one shoe in front of me at a time, and I learned with one bunny ear how to tie my laces. And I also had to learn, though, that I had to leave enough slack so that I could fit my feet back in. So I'll demonstrate that here. With one bunny ear, I held that in place with my right foot. And the other lace I used with my left foot to go over and through and pull to tighten. And then I pulled up on the tongue and I squeezed my foot in. And I did the same thing with my left shoe. But that taught me a very important lesson. It taught me that I should always think outside the shoe. And so I applied that same mentality to the challenge of the Air Coupe seatbelt. And the 4-point seatbelt, I had that in the pilot command seat, and I stood up on the seat, and I'm not going to stand on this one because it's a swivel chair, but I stood up on the seat and I buckled all the components together, and then I loosened the straps, and if you can imagine, I slipped right in. And I used the shoulder strap, I pulled that over with my right foot and I tightened that. The right shoulder strap I tightened with my left foot. And then I tightened the lap belt with my toes and my heel. I pulled that snugly in place. And my flight instructor, Glenn, got in and he was impressed. And he asked me, well, how'd you do it? And I said, easy, I just thought outside the shoe. But at the very beginning of flight training, I started off in a Cessna, and it was a very obvious after a few hours of flying the Cessna that there would be no physical way that I could actually solo the Air Coupe. I'm sorry, the Cessna. So I had to come up with another airplane that would be suitable for me, and that was right about the time when the AOPA In Pilot magazine, it was a March 2006 issue, it came out, and on the front cover of the magazine was a picture of Glenn Davis's Air Coupe. And I knew that that was going to be the plane that I was going to train in, and I contacted the editor of AOPA, and they put me in touch with Glenn, and he invited me a couple months later to come out, and he was going to train me how to fly his Air Coupe. His was actually not the right model for a light sport. It was actually a D model. So we continued on my training in 2 other C model Air Coupes, and my instructor Parrish trade week signed me off to solo about 2-3 years after I started my flight training in the beginning. And so I'm going to share with you all how it is that I'm actually able to handle the controls of an Air Coupe 415C and how it was that I became certified as a sport pilot. So I have a video here that I'd like to share. With you all, it's a video clip from Inside Edition.